Hi, today we're going to show you how to install a MyTrick RC airplane kit, and we're going to install it into our P-51 Mustang. When the kit is complete, the Mustang will end up with navigation lights, which are green and red, two super bright switchable landing lights, two red body strobes, and two white wing strobes. We're going to actually install our more advanced kit, which also includes two LEDs for guns. Every airplane kit that we sell has the functionality to have guns that you can switch on and off, but the only difference between the two kits are the additional two LEDs for the guns. To have the full functionality of guns and switched landing lights, you'll need a 6-channel radio like the one we have here. If you don't want or need the guns, and you don't need to switch the landing lights on and off, that's fine. You can have them on. Normally they will be on. The additional channels on your radio will just allow you to switch the landing lights off or take the guns and switch them on or off. Okay, so let's get started with the installation. Before we install the lighting kit into our airplane, let's review the functionality of the UF7 lighting controller. To begin with, the controller can be powered any one of several ways. It will accept any DC voltage from 5 volts to 15 volts. So you can power it off of a small LiPo battery and this little adapter like we made here, or you could plug it off of a 9-volt battery, and in fact that's what we're going to use to show you the demonstration today. Or you can plug it into your radio directly using Y-splitter cables that come with the controller, and these will allow you to tap power directly off of your airplane battery and give you certain functionality. So where you plug these into in your radio is important. If you want landing lights, you need to either assign it to an auxiliary channel or to your landing gear, so that when your landing gear goes down, it can detect that the landing gear is down and it'll turn on the landing lights so that they're switched with your landing lights. And then the gun functionality, same thing. In this case we have it plugged into an auxiliary port that's tied to a switch on our controller, so when we flip the switch it can read the signal. It'll still pass the signal through to the auxiliary device if you have any other devices plugged into it. But then the controller can read the signal and turn on the gun LEDs. Okay, so to begin with, let's go ahead and apply power, and when we do, you'll notice there's a little LED that blinks here. What that is telling us is it tells us what mode we're in. There's a little button right here. If we press this button, it'll switch, it'll scroll between the number of modes that every controller has. Currently, when you press the button, it'll blink the number of times to tell you which mode you're in, and we want to be in mode number 7 for airplane mode. So after I press this, you'll see that LED, it'll blink 7 times. Okay, now we're in airplane mode. And if you just keep pressing this, it'll scroll all the way around to mode 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, on to 8, 9, possibly 10 modes. We keep adding them. Another thing to note on this controller is the two connectors here. We can plug power into either one of them and it will power the UF7 controller. This little cable right here looks like a power cable. It is not. This is a power pass-through. Do not plug a battery into this. It will damage your controller if you do. The only power inputs should be in either of these two connectors here. And for example, with our Y-splitter cable, if we have the landing lights only functionality, we would plug those into channel 2, the second one over. And when we plug this in, we want to make sure that the black wire is pointing towards the A, or closest to the A connector. So we would plug it in just like this. Okay, and then we could detect the landing gear functionality and switch the landing lights on and when the landing gear goes down. Okay, you could also tie this to a switch, available switch on your radio if you choose to. The next most important thing, if we look at the manual, under mode 7, it shows you exactly where to plug in each of the LEDs for the various functions. So port A are auxiliary LEDs. They'll just be on steady. Some people have requested that we have this available so that they can have dual navigation lights. So anyway, you can plug anything you want into that. They'll be always on. The port B is the fuselage strobes. Those are the red ones that'll be on the top and the bottom of the fuselage. Port C would be the optional guns. The functionality is always in the controller. It's just a question if you attach the LEDs and attach the extra Y cable that comes with the more advanced kit. And then port D are the white wing strobes. Port E are the switched landing lights. Port F are the 2 wing navigation lights. And then again, our pigtail is just an optional power output if you want to connect it to something else. One other item to note, if you damage your plane, not a problem. You can take this out, switch it over just like your other electronic components. Or if you decide you're done with planes and you want to put this into one of your cars or other vehicles, you can do that too. You just select the mode that you want and buy whatever color LEDs you want to use relevant to that mode. If you look, each mode has its own appropriate LED colors and placement, and you just set it to that mode, apply your power, and you're good to go. Okay, let's go ahead and start the installation into the airplane. To do the installation of the LEDs into the body of the plane, there's going to be a few tools that we recommend you use. One is a nice metal straight edge, an X-Acto knife with the sharpest, brand newest blade that you can get your hands on, and a couple kinds of tape. This is just for setting things up as you're working, and then some strong, clear tape to kind of heal the body back after you cut it away, the slots for putting your LEDs in. We started our installation already. You can kind of see what we're doing here. We cut a channel in the wing all the way down, wide enough to allow 2 LEDs to sit in there. Our navigation LED, we pointed it straight out that way, and then on the just around that area right here, for the wing strobe, this is a white wing strobe, we kind of cut it away and set it up so that it could point backwards as it does on actual airplanes. And then for the guns, these guns are optional. What we did is we went ahead and we cut away the little plastic piece using our Dremel, drilled a hole through it, fished the LED into it, cut the wire, and then we'll solder it back and then continue feeding all of the LEDs up into the area here where we'll bring it into the body where the controller will be located. As we cut this, we need to make sure that we're avoiding our servos that are located in the wings and the mounts for the landing gear, etc. They don't actually look like they're necessarily exactly in the same place relative to the line that they cut, but that's okay. We can work around that. Okay, so we make a couple gentle passes here, trying to get our depth as even as we can. Not too deep, of course, but nice and even. Okay, that looks pretty good on this section. Go ahead and cut the other side of it. Again, we're making sure that the slot that we're cutting is large enough to fit two LED wires coming through here. One is going to be for the navigation and one is for the wing strobe. And then in this section it'll actually have to become a little bit deeper. We'll make it the same width but a little bit deeper to fit the gun, and then also the landing light coming in to this last little section right here. At the wing tip where the navigation LED lives, we cut it a little bit deeper so the LED can kind of sit in the wing. And then we also notched away a section right here for the wing strobe to kind of sit in and straddle over. When we're done, we'll most likely come in and apply a little bit of epoxy in here. Ideally, you know, the LEDs can get damaged if you crash or they get wiggled around or something, and you may need to replace them. So whatever you do, keep that in mind. Our thought is to apply this strong, heavy-duty clear tape on here. And if we ever need to replace an LED, we can just cut the tape, remove the LED, and then put the new LED and tape it back over, and it would essentially look the same as it did before. Once we have our two straight lines cut in here that we feel is about the right depth, what I did is I just took this LED, or the razor blade, at a gentle angle as I could, and just kind of slowly work it in. You can see this technique, and so it's going to cut a shallow kind of angled triangular sort of cut in there. And my goal is, however far down I've cut this way, to have the LED or the razor blade come in to about that thing. So I cut like a little wedge slice out all the way down, and then I'll do the same thing in the opposite direction. Just be gentle and take your time. You can see how that comes out of there. And then I can just come back and fine tune this. Same thing on the other direction. And there you go. We've got a slot cut out. We'll cut it a little bit deeper and come back and then tape it up later. With our channel now cut into the wing, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the plastic piece here so I can put in the gun LED and drill a hole through for the wire to feed through. Okay, now that our Dremel has been fed all the way through here and our hole has been opened up, we can feed our LED, our gun LED, through there. In a scenario like this one, we went ahead and we cut the LED wire. We'll solder it back once it's in there. And the reason is because it's the hole diameter is a little bit too small to fish the LED through the hole this way. So we cut the wires, we'll fish it through this way. Like so. We can kind of jam these in there. Okay, good, perfect. Now Now that that's set in there, we can trim these and solder them back. Okay, let's go solder them. Some tips on soldering these types of connections. One of the key things you want to have when soldering two wires together is flex. So we went out, to our local electronics store, we bought this liquid flux. It comes in different forms. You just want to apply a little bit to each exposed wire, and then take your soldering iron, get a little bit of solder on the tip of the iron, and what we call tin each of the wires, the exposed wires. You want to do this to both ends. We've already done it to this end. It makes the wiring, the actual soldering, go much faster, and you get a really good connection that way as well. Voila, it's done. Now we can just go ahead and put our heat shrink tubing on here, and our trick, this is something we learned from our electrical engineers, is to just use the tip of the soldering iron to go ahead and shrink the tubing. You also want to get this, we picked this up at also at the electronics store, the smallest heat shrink. I think this is 1/8 inch, was the smallest one that we could find. Okay, and there we have it. We have our new connection, ready to go. Before we install the rest of the LEDs along this wing, I just wanted to show you the basic cuts that I did. So down here I have a little bit bigger area. I have a recessed area for the navigation light that's cut a little bit deeper, and then I have an area for the wire to loop back on the wing strobe. And then coming down here, of course, we have our gun LED coming in here that's joining in. And then lastly, I have one other tap off right here for the landing light. So the landing light will kind of lay in here, and in a little bit deeper section in the front. The heat shrink coming off of the LEDs needs a little bit extra space, so that's why I cut it a little bit wider at the end right here, and then narrower where the LEDs or where the wires will lay in place. And then also I cut a larger slot through here for the LEDs to fit up through, as you can kind of see. An important detail to note is this LED, which is the wing strobe, when I apply it on here, I want to bend the wires around, but I don't really want to bend the wires right where the LED is. The reason I cut this away is so that I could allow that full heat shrink area to stay straight and then kind of twist itself back along here. And that's really a good procedure to use to just help the durability of the LEDs. If you fatigue or bend these right where the LED is, they can have a shorter life. Sometimes that connection can become loose. So just make a note of that whenever you're doing an installation with these LEDs. Try not to bend them right at the LED. So now I'm cutting large pieces of clear cellophane tape, really strong stuff, and patching back the wing where we cut it away, and making sure as I do this that the two wires don't cross over each other and create a bump. I'm keeping them nice and straight and just next to each other all the way down. This is how our wing looks all finished. Now we'll go ahead and put the fuselage strobes in there. So here I've drilled a hole through my body, all the way through. me go ahead and fish my LED through there. I may end up having to cut this wire so that I can feed the LED through, keep the hole as small as possible, and then just resolder it back over here. And I may also shorten the length because this LED is a lot longer than it needs to be for this body. At this point of the installation, we recommend that you test out your system. We took our 9-volt battery and the adapter cable, we plugged it into power port 1. We set it to the airplane mode, and you can see the body strobes are working. That's good. The wing strobe, the navigation lights, and the wing strobes are also working. And the next thing though is we can't really see the landing lights or the guns because they're switched. So what I'll do is I'm going to just switch this to one of the other modes, actually mode 1, to turn all of the LEDs on. And as I'm switching through the modes, you'll notice I got to one mode where there's no LED on the controller at all. This is because we're in mode 0. Everything is off. The next one will be mode 1, and you saw it blink one time. Now all LEDs are on, so now I can verify that all of my connections are good. Everything does check out, it looks good. I'm ready to install the controller and connect it to the radio. With all of our connections to the radio now in place, the next step is to install the controller. Basically, we're just going to fit it inside the fuselage. You'll note that for this installation we didn't need a Y-splitter cable. There was no connection that we were feeding through. This plane doesn't have retractable landing gear. If it did, then we would have taken our landing gear connection, plugged it into there, and then our landing gear into here, and then the cable in here, so that the landing lights could turn on when the landing gear opened. Okay, well, let's get the fuselage together.